Everyone, welcome in. Betsperts Golf here for some Valero Texas Open discussion. Another withdrawal just before the show starts. So, Daniel Berger got in a little bit more time than Scotty Scheffler got in for us last week. Coming off of a pretty busy news week in the world of golf, but a great on-the-course story there in Gary Woodland. We thought we were going to win, Andy. We had Højgaard, and kind of felt like, you're riding the heater. You, Ron, and I were on that one, so I felt like we're going to get a nice community win. And then Gary just curb stomped the field pretty early on Sunday.
Yeah, it's hard. I talk about that a lot when we talk about how hard it is to bet outright golf. You can identify a guy and a price and pick out his best 4 rounds of the year. And there's also, 80 to 150. 150 is probably what's the biggest field still, like 140-ish?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, 144.
There's like 140 other guys, and somebody else in that field might have the best 4 days of their life, year, month, whatever, and just kind of cuck you. And that's how it goes. Outright betting is tough. It was fun winning 2 in a row, almost 3 in a row. We'll be back. We'll probably keep doing. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to probably bet some outrights this week, and definitely some outrights into the Masters. Maybe we'll even touch a little on the Masters odds. I know you did that a little bit yesterday on the First Look show. If you missed that, it's a nice one to watch to kind of catch you up. Otherwise, yeah, I have a few bets. This was the main complaint this week. I think the theme, outside of, general golf Twitter, Tiger was the story. Sure. Golf betting Twitter, Wiley was the story. But underneath all of the drama stuff, the main theme on gambling Twitter, gambling Discord, golf, whatever, was, God, these odds suck. Oh, my God, these odds. I'm so mad about these odds. And they're not wrong. It's very difficult. And I think it just kind of opens you up to – it's not like a throwaway week. I don't want to say put together a card you don't believe in. But you can definitely take some chances on some long shots this week, because long shots win here. It's a tough course. There's some, good course history angles. There's some definite archetypes that you can play here. And I think you can go just kind of, ignore a bunch of people at the top if you feel like it. Obviously for DFS, it's a little different. For one and done, very different. I said that to my anyone who doesn't know, I do a team one and done with a good friend, Cal, from Twitter. And our main discussion point was my betting card and my one and done list are going to look very different this week. My short list, like oftentimes, hey, here's the guy we both bet, or here's the guy we really think that can win this. He's in the discussion for one and dones. I'm going to be betting some long numbers this week, and you don't go put a 250 to 1 guy in for your one and done. So it's going to be, there's going to be a little deviation in the betting card, and obviously DFS pools and one and dones this week, because I don't know, my process has led me to just, if there's a guy I like, I'm going to have to just grin and bear it on maybe a price I'm not super happy with, or just start looking deep down the board. And I've kind of tilted towards the latter for the most part.
Lighter card for me as well. Similar process, similar reaction to the odds board. I touched on this a little bit yesterday too. I'm just going to be careful because I don't want to get my hand slapped. You don't want to disparage a partner or anything, or a fellow book. But DraftKings comes out early with these like Sunday afternoon openers, and it's cool, I guess. We were all thirsting for outright bets, especially if you didn't have anything going on Sunday. Turn the page, see what's coming. What do we got going on? And especially down the board, you get some really bad numbers. But it's not a accessible book for some. And it kills some of the opening lines that, kind of pop up everywhere. So like you'll see some just insane down the board openers. And again, if the goal isn't just in outright betting versus like sides and totals in the NFL, or betting NFL props, even where like CLV means a lot more. CLV and NFL props even at times is pretty meaningless compared to sides and totals, obviously, but it's not nothing. But like CLV in the triple digit outright betting space is, and again, you feel better about having that 140 ticket when everyone's chasing the 75s on Monday morning. So that's also kind of impacted it here. We're kind of waiting for a readjustment and a reshuffle to the top. It just never came. You just have a ton of guys here that are like sub 30, and you're like, oh, someone's going to start to drift down. Like, nope. We're just, every book's just like, nah, we're not really sure what to do with it. We're going to give you a bunch of guys at 18 and a bunch of guys at 22, and like you figure out what you want to do with it. And it's just a tough week.
Yeah, and as mentioned before, we have a lot of history here, but it's been a weird one with just the field that's playing and who's not playing. Gary, Højgaard, Collin, Berger, and just so many people are not playing. And then obviously so many of the big names just deciding not to play at all. Scotty not getting any Texas warm up after pulling out last week with the baby, I suppose is what it was. The most interesting story. The most interesting one too is that reading, despite being arrested, some of these are fans' accounts, but they are mentioning that Tiger's still playing like he's going to play in the Masters. And it's like, man, I saw him hobbling around for the Jupiter Golf Links TGL team. It's a long, tough walk playing Augusta twice, maybe 4 times. So I don't feel like that's happening. Yeah, the Morikawa withdrawal, that was interesting. Like it felt like that was something we're going to have to wait for today, because he was saying, I want to test the back out. I think I'm getting better, but you never know with these injuries in golf because we don't have true injury reports. So it kind of, I guess you can look at that 2 ways. Either I'm still hurt, I can't play golf, or this is feeling better. I don't want to risk it blowing up my back.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Here in San Antonio, doing something to it ahead of a much richer week, much more prestigious week next week. I've played well enough this year. I think I'm back in form. If I'm healthy, I think I can compete next week at Augusta. So I don't know. And again, I'm just speculating. So I'm saying, however you want to feel about it is how you're going to feel about it. So let's change the odds board to the top again.
I was talking to a friend of the show, Jeff Feinberg. He used to join us in the spot he's a noted Morikawa hater. We were talking about the current Masters odds board and, the fascination of what to do with Morikawa even this week, because the case I made on yesterday's First Look show was that healthy Morikawa should actually, to make a case for someone to be even shorter, a healthy Morikawa should probably be shorter on the board here this week. Again, different now. He's obviously a WD, but now it becomes even more fascinating because his number in terms of some of like the sub 30 on the Masters board, and the futures board, seemed pretty fair at 27, 28 in some spots with his course history, with his recent form. And now we have this other layer of what's really the nature of this withdrawal. And again, these are independent contractors. We're not going to get concrete information on why he didn't play this week. Is it that the back spasms are more? Is that he's not ready? Is that like I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that's going to add to some speculation. And I think we probably see that number drift at the Masters even a little bit more, which again, just becomes a whole other discussion for next week. But yeah, all it's going to do, Andy, for this week is truncate the top of the board. Even if you were kind of swimming around someone and you haven't got in already, Berger and Morikawa this morning complicate things a little bit more.
I know Berger was somebody I had kind of on my list too. I was looking at him. I didn't mind.
Yeah, I bet him here last year. So yeah.
I had 2 early bets. I've added 2 more since. We'll get to them in a bit. Kind of want to talk. I had a couple of, it's funny. I always make notes. I have a little outline questions I want to throw past Noonan. I don't get enough time to talk to him on Mondays. Mondays are very busy for both of us. So usually this is one of the first times we even speak about golf during the week, which is fun. So I also have questions I want to lob to you. And it's funny because one was just a whole section on Morikawa.
Yeah.
Just gonna kind of cross that off. I guess the podcast's a little shorter, which will be fine. How much adjusting in your modeling, how much adjusting in your using historical data or anything does the rough change matter to you? You know, we're going up to 3 inches. It was closer to 2 inches. Historically, this is a course that had a pretty low fairway penalty. It's one of the lowest fairway penalties or missed fairway penalties on tour. As far as, you know, if there's places where it's almost a full stroke. Like you might not find the ball. You might be pitching out laterally. You might be hitting it 40 yards because of some grabby Kikuya or, you know, heavy fescue here. But historically, this is, I think it ranked 39th out of 40 last year as far as fairway penalties, missed fairway penalties. God, there's a very big difference there. So like shorter, accurate players have had the advantage with that. And, you know, if it is a little tougher here, are you looking a little differently because of that?
Not a ton. I mean, so I feel like there was.
It's not like it's 5 inches. Yeah, it's
right.
Not like it's bigger. It's not massive.
Yeah. So like compared to last week, where there was no missed fairway penalty, no rough penalty. If you're going to tell me that we got a little bit more of like a little bit more of a rough penalty, there is still somewhat of a missed fairway penalty at times because it's like this course, it's actually a pretty interesting course. Like there's not a lot of like signature holes that jump out, but like it does a really good job at using the natural terrain. And you know, there are some forced layups. It has been a spot. Like again, when you get a Brian Harmon, that's one here, right? There's just some tracks that's good. Even if you're just kind of doing this at like a 50,000 foot view and you know enough to know that Brian Harmon won here last year by margin, it's not really a long golf course. No, it is long. But like there's some long irons. There's some, you know, I guess some of it's tied up into like the par 5 scoring that is like going for greens are a little bit harder here because of some of like the natural terrain. So those turn into 3-shot holes for some of the shorter guys, the Harmons of the world and stuff like that. So it doesn't change it much for me. I guess is a long answer. Is just that it's still
generally
average,
a tough course.
Correct. And the wind, right? The wind is
overall, yeah, with the wind, with the bunkering, with some of the setups for the greens, and the speed of the putting. Overall, it's still going to play as a tough course.
Yeah, we're not gonna. You have like the benign win year, right? I think like Akshay and Denny got to like 20, but last year I think our winner was 9, and like he won by multiple shots. The winds were really bad a couple of different days. The winds look problematic this week, especially on the weekend. So I think we get another, I would say low teens would be the high end. And I think you can see another spot where maybe 10 to 12 wins. So yeah, it's the rough change just being up a little bit doesn't make that much of a difference. I still think it does kind of lend itself to shorter strategical positional type guys.
Yeah. Real quick, I had this in my notes too, a little housekeeping. I went into the data for real this time.
Love this.
And 63% of people who watch these videos are not subscribed. You don't have to turn on notifications. You don't have to do anything fancy. Just hit the button. It helps the channel out quite a bit. That would be a very nice thing you to do. After you do that, you can hit the thumbs up. And then after you do that, you can support one of our sponsors in Splash. You can join the contest. We have a little Splash contest. It is total strokes over at Splash. It's $10 to enter. Nice prize payouts. Winner gets $225. Made it a little bigger this week. I finished 20th out of 40 last week. So kind of arriving the median wave. I'll have a link to that in the description and in the show notes here if you're a podcast listener. And then also, obviously, take advantage of the Novig deal. We do have 2 sponsors this week. We will for a bit. If you don't have a Novig account, you want a Novig account, or if you just want to get your rabbit hole on, get into the Betsperts premium stuff, go get a Novig account. Use our promo code, use our link, buy $5 worth of Novig coins or what have you, and you'll get a promo code for a full year. It is not a deal that we've had very often since it's been probably a year since we've had a good affiliate deal like this.
Yeah.
So take advantage because these are fewer and further between nowadays. So And honestly, I think if you buy $5 in no-vig coins, you get 50 free anyway. So there's an added bonus of that. You can go bet on sports over there. Go make some golf bets. So if you have any more questions on that, obviously DM us, ask in the comments, or just check out the article right there online.
Yeah, get more money to bet for free, and you get a $5. I mean, it's $250 for the year. You get it for basically spending $5 on no-vig, and they give you more than $5. So that's it. There's no strings. There's no fine print. That's the fine print. It's on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely take advantage of that deal. It's a great one.
And we will interrupt my outline to talk. I love it when somebody just asks about a guy. Just it doesn't have anything specific. Just like, how do you feel about Bobby Mack?
Sure.
Kind of like Bobby Mack. I was a big Bobby Mack hater. Probably what's it been now? 2-3 years. When he first came across, I think he started playing right around this time of year, where it was like Florida into Carolinas, that sort of stuff. And I faded him pretty hard when he came over because I wasn't a fan of everything he did coming over from Europe. But now, obviously, he's quite a bit different. And, I mean, just the approach is a little tough, I guess, for this week. Because it's, approach is important every week, but it kind of is the thing that just wins people golf tournaments when they play. When a course like this plays tough, when it's windy, when it's playing a little tougher than it has, like a couple of years ago, you're going to have to play a little better on approach here. So if he gets back to where he's been, just maybe, a little more above average ball striker, because he's gaining with the driver, and he's been a good enough off the tee to, become a average to above average ball striker, but the approach game is kind of dragging him down a little here.
It's just not the profile of someone that I know this is the problem. Like I think he's just got a little dog in him too. Right? Like there's definitely something there, right? He finds himself kind of towards the top of the leaderboard in these strong field events. It's happened multiple times over the last handful of years. On its face, this is not the profile that we should chase, right? Like just struggling on approach and just gaining more and more every time out on the greens is kind of tough. So again, he's another one of these guys that like on paper is pretty interesting for next week, but everyone else had that thought when he showed a pulse earlier in the year, and like that number is just kind of trampled down on now. So it's a little bit tougher, but yeah, we haven't seen him since the players finished solo fourth, kind of gained throughout the back here. Again, heavy lifting with the putting, which has kind of been, a key to be able to get away at API with a T24 bleeding on approach is impressive. But like you can go one of two ways. It's like, hey, he can't keep getting away with this meme, or it's like, well, just wait until he starts to be field average or gains on approach. Then you see him, he's fourth, right? He's fourth at the Sony because he gained on approach. He's fourth at the Players because he gained on approach. So like, it can go one of two ways depending on whatever story you need to justify in making the bat or fading the golfer, right? It can go either way.
Well, and to Ryan's point, and maybe, if you like him, I think his approach is going to scare people off, and maybe he's a nice DFS play because his ownership will be depressed if you're using him in bigger contests, but he's a 2-club golfer right now, and it's not the right week for that because he's gaining with his driver and he's gaining with his putter. And, this week is going to this week's going to reward accuracy and good drive percentage and that sort of thing a little more. And obviously, putting is just super hard to make sticky and use in a predictive forward looking sense and say, well, he's just going to keep being a really, really good putter and saving his ass on the greens. They're fast. It's going to be dry, windy. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go to bed with somebody like that. So,
yeah. I mean, like I said, next week would be interesting, but again, even that the value feels kind of sucked out of that here too. So I like him, but if I spend any time looking like at this, there's just no way that I could back him at his current price personally. Yeah. But again, the dog, he's good. He's very much can just go and win this golf tournament. I would not be surprised. Like he'll just gain a little bit on approach, gain another, 6 shots on the week on the greens, and hold on. And you can get it done.
And, I mentioned just approach. Let's go to the page for the tournament. Go to like the 2024 leaderboard
You got it.
on yeah. So it would have been Akshay's win. You guys mentioned that yesterday with the most anticlimactic playoff ever.
It was a weird one. It was a weird
but
one.
I mean,
To get
just,
to a playoff. I mean, Denny went crazy.
but again, just looking at the approach numbers. It's a bunch of guys that just gained all week, throwing darts, giving them scoring opportunities. Obviously, the scoring was quite a bit lower that year, 20. I don't think we'll see 20 this year, but
I mean, look at the delta here, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
two guys kind of ran away with it. We had that a little bit last week, even too, where like I think we were directionally correct on like it's going to play harder than it had in years past. But like Gary just went kind of crazy. Nikolai kind of chased him. But when we went to the weekend, there was a bunch of guys still kind of hanging out in like the 10 to 12 range. This is kind of the same here, where it's, your winner got to 20, but you only had two other guys crossing 10.
I'd kind of forgot about that. And there's Russell Henley, who's going to model everywhere for everyone. He's going to be on top of everything, guys. But again, you look at that, go look at, I mean, obviously let's look at 23, where I feel like our winner was probably number one in approach, if I had to guess. Yeah, by quite a bit. There's Sam Stevens, who played well last week, Kuchar, but another bunch of guys who just gained all week on approach and made their way up the leaderboard by scoring, even though it was a little lower, 15, a little more bunched up there with Shea Reevy. Haven't said his name in a little bit, so I don't think I'll be betting on him this week. Do not know that he's in the field. There's always a possibility. In the field. Yeah, there is always a possibility. I just kind of wanted to point out that we harp on approach every week, but Jesus, like you have to have it this week. You have to be a good ball striker, otherwise you're just not going to be in contention. Yeah. And then I think you pick out some other smaller things to break the ties and figure out where your guys are and who you want to play with. And the two biggest things, I guess, are wind and course history. You can start with wind. I don't know how much of a believer are you? It feels like a little bit of witch doctor stuff. Like guys who've played well in the wind before will play well in the wind again. Like, is that data you're using? I kind of like to use it negatively, where I'll go to the rabbit hole. I'll put in some filters, show me a bunch of rounds where people played it in the wind. Now show me who absolutely flamed out on approach, who flamed out off the tee, who could not do it, who could not adjust their ball angle, there's certain guys who have a bunch of different shots in the bag, and there's certain guys who don't, and oftentimes you don't need them. But situations like that where the wind really kicks up and certain guys can't hit a different kind of shot and they struggle, I think that's probably something that we're going to see over and over. And Ryan's here, he's inversing the chart to show who's the worst on approach here and a decent sample of windy golf. But a lot of the guys are in that 6,000 range just because that's who they are. They're, it's Joel Damon and Charlie Hoffman, and that's who's going to be down there. But I'd scroll a little further, start looking for like who's the first guy in the 8,000 or 9,000 range, and Poston. Oh no, I think people like him this week. Paul from last week, who I did not really know that well. He's like a 45-year-old rookie. It takes a while. A lot of them are just kind of the bad golfers, but
the struggle with this is just the sample, Andy, right? Like I gotta back out.
You're looking at samples of like 7. We got to look at bigger. We got to look at a bigger time.
That's the thing, is it's 12 months. It gets a little tricky, right? Because you start to go back, and guys can be the different golfers. Those things can change, and you're still going to get some small-ish samples with some of these guys. Going back 3 years, you're still kind of kicking around with some not great stuff. But yeah, to your point, we're still getting guys kind of towards the bottom of the odds board. It's tricky. I get the inverse. I think it's, instead of using it as like a reward for playing well, it's like, can I make any cross off decisions towards the top of the board? And this kind of tells us I don't think we really can. Getting some bigger samples of guys, but like, I don't know. It's not great. It's not
great. It's tough to use. It is. I think maybe, if you are looking at some guys, you could look at their Apex site And some guys that have a consistently high apex height probably don't have a stinger in their bag. And you can start to use that. These are probably more DFS tiebreakers because you're using so many guys down in the 6,000 and 7,000 range. But
Yeah.
For the most part, it's hard. And that's kind of where I wanted your opinion on this. Like, everyone's talking about the wind, but no one's talking about how to bet with it or against it, or how to use it as an actual angle. And I like I said, you can look at data of people playing in high winds, but the samples aren't going to be very big. And sometimes it's hard to actually use that as a strength. I suppose we could go look in the miscellaneous view and just look at ball or clubhead speed. Some of the guys who were able to cut through the wind a little, but I think you want somebody, if you want somebody who can play well in the wind without actually seeing it, I'd want clubhead speed and low apex height.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably more sustainable.
And those don't go together.
Yeah, I think the apex height is probably a better way to approach the wind data this week, personally. Like, just because it's so tricky. Like, we just don't have a lot of sizable enough sample to make it actionable. Like, okay, who can navigate naturally, just kind of keeping it low and getting on the ground quickly and kind of taking that out of it versus, the guys that hit the ball a mile. Thor's, going to be up. Yeah, he hits the ball a mile in the air. Davis Thompson, Ricky hits it high. Ludwig hits it high. Hisasune. Again, I wouldn't also use this as I'm just not considering any of these guys blindly either, but I also think like trying to make decisions live maybe would probably be the best. I mean, like, it looks like, again, play weatherman 5 days out. Sunday looks bad. If you were trying to look at like considering a guy who's maybe a handful of shots back on Sunday, and you kind of like, maybe we have a faulty leader. We have Sanjay type of situation like we had at the Valspar. It's like, no, he's not in any fairways, gaining a ton putting. Someone's going to chase him down. Now let's go to ball flight. Let's see, okay, who's playing pretty well, who keeps it low, who might be able to be okay. Look at the wind data there. I just don't think it should be like a foundational piece of model building this week.
Yeah. I know, I'm just trying to pick your brain on some of these things, as these are the things flying through mine. And then, I mean, this is, again, hand in hand, not really, but again, it's something you need to be looking at multiple years because of how it is. And that is just straight up course history, not comp courses, but course history, TPC, San Antonio. And, at that point, you need to be looking at 3 to 5 years, I guess. We can do that. There's, guys here who I don't think, someone in the chat, and we'll get to him asking about Sudar. Like, he's not going to have 5 years of TPC San Antonio data. So it's going to be hard to rank him high here, but there is a pretty strong correlation. I think like Riv, Bay Hill are right up there, but this is one of those that's stickier on the course history too. Guys who've played well here, play well, but again,
the challenge is almost no one comes back here every year. That's so
the
weird.
thing. The turnover kind of screws it over. So like the guys who played well here aren't guys who are like parlaying that into, all right, now I'm a top golfer and I'm winning and winning and winning and winning. And then I don't have to play Valero anymore.
Yeah.
So some of these guys, it's just like, I think the course history angle is a better angle for like DFS, where, you don't need someone who wins. You need someone who makes the cut and birdie streaks and scores a bunch, or positional placing, where I need a guy who's played well here and just he doesn't win, but goddamn, he's always in the mix. He's top 15 in here every other year, and he plays well and he comes back and he knows the course. I think there is a case for some of those guys, as far as like top 20, top 30, top 40 bets, if you are looking at course history, because like you said, the turnover it's a springboard event, man. Charlie Hoffman.
Yeah. The spot in the calendar. It's like, okay, well, do I need to go qualify for the Masters? Do I want to use this am I already in the field at the Masters and I want to use this as a tune-up event? Or, I mean, Corey Connors isn't here. I mean, that kind of tells us all we need to know about, like, in terms of how guys use this event. It's like, right, he doesn't win very often on the tour. He's won here twice. He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not going there.
Yeah, this is an event I've won. I know I can win. I've beaten this course, and and it's
good.
Corey Connors. It's not like Corey Connors is. I mean, what do you think he is for Augusta? 80?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, I really got to concentrate because this is my chance to.
Yeah, it looks like Nick can find the triple digits on Corey.
Triple, yeah.
Do not bet Sanjay. Do not bet Sanjay, Nick.
Don't bet Sanjay. I don't think you're gonna have fun watching him on those greens. And then Corey.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have
Corey. I've bet Corey at Augusta, and I'll probably do it again. I'll probably do it
here. Sanjay has a the November Masters T2, and has some other random like decent showings at the Masters, but like we got to think a little bit more long term about how his game has been trending and how the irons have been playing. And I would not chase Sanjay. If you wanted to make a case for Corey, then you could sell me on that a little bit more. And it was very much in the mix last year. I mean, right, it became kind of the Rory Bryson situation, but like Corey was in one of those final groups and played really well. We've had that in the past there too. So, so you can see here just kind of spotty. This is our tournament cheat sheet. Obviously, you can look at course history through the lens of any stat in the rabbit hole. You can also go into the tournament cheat sheets, rolling form, finishing positions, and course history here too. And you can see some guys that just some sporadic. I mean, look, I would think this would be a nice prime Tom Hoagie stop. He just didn't come for 3 years. T5 last year. But missed some cuts here in the past. But like, Russell Henley you would think Russell Henley would be here every year. A bunch of wedges, distance from the edge of the fairway, short game. Like, he just came here a couple years ago, T4, and then just dipped out. Right now he's back.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, it makes sense. He's a great course fit here. Why wouldn't he be here? Why wouldn't Sepp Straka be here every year? Cooch is here still every year, but like that's the kind of profile still. This version of Cooch is what can contend here. That's like Sepp Straka on steroids. Like why wouldn't those guys come here every year? And it's a tough piece. So like even course history, I get it. It's almost like looking at something else I wanted to talk to you about too. Like I'm not modeling it, but I want to look at it and scan through it. And the other thing that I think is great for that, touched on a little bit yesterday, is like the approach shot distribution piece. Because this is a spot where I have in my notes where it's kind of flat across the board. There's some spots that pop a little bit above average. When you look at, Ron's got the data here for us too, right? Like, more wedges, right? Gap wedges, partial lob wedges type stuff, and kind of flat everywhere. And then you get like this big 250 plus bucket.
It's weird because shots from 200 to 250, much fewer of those than an average tour stop, but shots over 250, almost double. So you're getting, and I know there's a difference between a 210 yard shot and a 260 yard shot, but I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I still consider this flatter than a lot of events where you see, Jesus, all the shots are coming from like 150 to 200. Yeah. Because when we're looking at percentages, you're saying, well, there's 29% fewer shots from 225 to 250. Well, it's 4.5% of the shots compared to 6.2 is the tour average. You're not ever taking a ton of shots from 225 to 250. It's 6.2% of the tour average shot. So while the percentage looks gaudy on the page, it's still, not that big of a difference down. I think the only thing gaudy is probably the fact that there are so many 250 plus, and that is because of the length of this course. So your average tourist stop is 10.4% of your shots on approach will be from 250. Here it's 18.3. That's the one that probably opens a few eyes.
But here's how it works. Forced layup off the tee.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It plays longer than it is on a couple of holes, and you're going to have those shots.
And my approach shot to the green is 275. Well, I'm not going for the green. Right? Like that's my distance. But like when you look at going for the green rate, that's a little bit lower too, right? Guys do not go for the green at look, it's significantly below a tour average event. And it's also because you're not really rewarded for it. Even when you go for the green, you see here, standard PGA Tour track, 23% hit the green and reg. We're half of that, 11%. So yeah, it's a bunch of stuff from 250 plus, but what that is for the majority of the field is laying up for that third approach shot, which also ends up being in the 50 to 100 range.
Yeah.
Back up top.
Those are scoring goes hands. Yeah, it goes hands in hand where the short wedge stuff is higher. That's where you're really happy, where you see second shot, 239 yards to fairway, 70 feet from pin. Like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah.
Like, it's not anywhere nasty. We're just going to pop that up there and pop it down for par.
Yeah. The scoring ranges are what matters here. And you see, that I think, increase, not a huge increase, but it's not nothing to go from 9% to basically 12% from the 50 to 100 bucket. We expect those to be situations where guys can throw darts. So when you go into the rabbit hole and you're looking at the approach scoring opportunities, this is what I was kind of talking about. It's not something that I'm modeling a ton of because I do think it is, for the most part, pretty flat. I just kind of want to go in there and see if I could see any green trend lines across the board for all the, for a guy like, all right, are we kind of green everywhere? We're mixing in a lot of red in some spots. These are some buckets that we tend to go in. We just kind of, let's search a guy towards the top. Yeah, here's KH Lee, right? So you got a lot of red. There's some green that pops, but I want to find some spots where guys are kind of red or green across the board. Here's what we already talked about. We're going to have more 50 to 100. I kind of want guys to be able to throw some darts there because guys are going to get a bunch of those. This is actually looking specifically at the Oaks course. If I reset this, look at all courses, and let's even look at just, we'll just look at 2026, who's been the best in these spots. These are kind of the opportunities that we want. We're not going to get a lot of Brandon Todd. Again, this is a peak Brandon Todd course back in 2018. Would love this all day. I'm pretty sure I've bet Brandon Todd here multiple times.
Pre-pandemic Brandon Todd course.
Zal, not a lot of shots. Got Glover, Decky. Here's Ludwig. This is, you'd think, hey, Ludwig, fantastic from 200 plus. Actually, Ludwig, get him a wedge in his hand, a little 56, maybe a little 60 degree, and he's going to give himself a look inside 10 feet. Matt McCarthy, Sepp, Doug Gim, Tom Hoagie, Harmon last year. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense. Henley, if we back this out, is probably significantly better, but even here in the 100 to 150, a lot of green, right? So it's hard to model this week because it's kind of flat. We kind of want all of it, but I want to kind of just stream across and see how often am I just getting kind of green across the board for somebody.
Yeah. I know we're not going to bet Brendan Todd.
We are not.
And I'm not judging you if you do. Brendan Todd, top 40.
I don't know.
Go fuck. I still don't think I could do it. Either way,
he hasn't played at all. Where has he been? Where is the Todd?
But the Brendan Todd segue was leading into like long shots win here. You can definitely win with a long shot here, especially as the top of the field is starting to thin out further and further with the draws. But Brendan Todd has not played good golf lately. Roll up though. Look at that. Go up there. Keep going. 2026, one start. He's played once.
Yeah. Sorry, it's the Brendan Todd segment of the
And
he
played 2 rounds, so he must have withdrawn or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it wasn't a signature no-cut event. So he found his way to the car after Friday's round. Anyway, back to that. Long shots. You find a long shot. He's a solid ball striker, good short game. Isn't an absolute, bell end in the wind. He's got some Blinks pedigree. He's got some Texas pedigree. Like, there's plenty of big names. I think you're going to see some really weird cards with some big names. I know somebody mentioned, Jesus, I wish I could say this case. I watch so much golf on mute that when there's a newer golfer that you don't see that much, and I don't listen to like other golf podcasts. I just do not have time Monday through Wednesday. So I don't know how to say people's names.
Yellow Miraju
is what I'm saying. Yep. And if that's wrong,
it's correct.
Somebody yell at me. Jonathan mentioned Phillips. Phillips, a fun one. He won an alt event, didn't he? Was Puerto Rico?
He did. He won Puerto Rico 2 years ago. Yep.
Yeah, so he's a guy with some win equity.
Cash
He's
that
a
one.
nice long shot. For my liking, did you bet any long? Should we start backwards? Should we go with our longest bet first?
Yeah, I love this. I did bet one bomb because I had that same mindset as like, there's some guys that are very easy clicks for me at the top, even though the prices suck, as you can probably assume. But some down the board, I touched on this before. I kind of like at times to look backwards. If we can find a guy that played the week before and maybe showed a little bit over the weekend, that can maybe catch my attention. Like, okay, what did you find something the week before? And again, sometimes it's not that clean because the test can be very different. But again, if it's like more predictive stuff, like, ball striking, greens and rag, if you're especially this week, if you're gaining off the tee and maybe there's an accuracy element to it too. I think par 5 scoring really matters this week because it's a tricky set of par 4s, some longer par 3s, and this place can play pretty difficult. So I found a gentleman who been playing some pretty good golf. He could probably make a case that his best 3, his last 3 have been probably his best 3. He did win an alt-field event last year. Let's see if I can lead you here because you're a big alt-field guy. T6 at PGA National, T24 at Sawgrass, which surprised me. He actually, in this field, he is 3rd in par 5 birdie or better percentage over the last 50 rounds. Ludwig, Bobby Mack, and William Mao. William Mao at 115 is my bomb. So, yeah, playing pretty good. I mean, look, the around the green stuff is a disaster.
Putting,
but the rest of it's really good.
It's not good. Short game shit. Yeah. Good off the tee, good ball striker, good, like you said, good bogey avoidance, good par 5 scoring. Some
accuracy
stuff. I've used
and distance off the tee has been pretty good.
I don't know this for sure because I wasn't watching the chat closely, but I'm going to say Josh got it in time where he guessed Mao.
Good job, Jet. Love it.
My longest price currently is Christian Bez Udenhout. another
wrong pronunciation.
I know, Bez Udenhout. Strong around the green play.
Oh yeah.
Good bogey avoidance. Plays well in the firm conditions. PGA National comp. And he's 90-1. I mean, just kind of, it's more of the price than anything else, but he modeled well for me. He's good enough at all the things I want here. And, the ball striking of late has been, but for a big price like this, he's a guy who's played well in bad fields. And I think I can get him there.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think he had a good end of the year and a good swing season because it was okay. Because at the beginning of the year, he was modeling pretty well. If you're using like last 24, last 36, and I was like, why is Seabass? Like, I don't remember him doing anything. Why is he popping here a little bit? And yeah, had a decent end of the season there. With some, again, all relative, but for him to be, mixing in some top 10s with, some made cuts is pretty good. So
I know, and I sat and preached approach. He's probably middle of the pack if you go look at anything. But I just, it didn't play well. Didn't play well in Florida. So we'll live with it. It was a nice showing down in Puerto Rico, but
he doesn't like the Florida.
He's a long shot as well as Jay Smith.
Jordan Smith.
Is it Paul Waring or Paul Waring?
I think it is Waring.
If I can get a Brit to the top of the leaderboard, I can get him up. He was one that's just like, I watched it. I went and looked at some of his stats for the players, and I don't think he was playing the same course. It was so bad. But then the Valspar, again, just really, really good ball striking, good enough ball striking. Putter, short game let him down last week in Houston, but he's had some nice finishes this year as far as
it's a good one.
Cog, Amex, and he's another one he's right around 90-1. So I've never bet him before. So it's fun to get a new guy because a lot of times I bet the same guys over and over until they win. And then after they win, I bet
How dare
more.
you? Yeah. How dare you? I never bet guys repeatedly. Oh, wait. Should we talk about the top of the board?
Yeah.
Well, I did not bet Thor this week, so I'll say that. I did. Did you?
Thorbjorn Olsen.
Yes, I knew you would bet Thorbjorn Olsen. I almost bet Thorbjorn Olsen.
It's another, it's the joke I just made. I'm going to bet the same guys I was bet. Boy, howdy. Elite approach play in the last, he's played here and he played well off his approach game here. So honestly, I feel like Europeans are better in the wind. There's no empirical data. I might have to run some reports off that. But in my mind, if you're European, you can play in the wind, because I just picture guys, on the coast of Scotland with their windbreaker flapping in the wind as they're pitching it to 2 feet. But yeah, he's priced pretty attractively for me, considering some of the ball striking prowess he's had over the years. I mean, even last week, pretty damn good.
A lot of miscuts for a guy you bet often.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I think that's I love him as an outright bet, because I think he is very volatile. Yeah, he has a high ceiling, but
I'm very in the lead.
They don't take any more of your money if he finishes dead last. And he was 60-1 on Bet Online.
It's true. It's true. Although I did cash a full placement on Nico last week with, solo second place, and that felt pretty good.
Yeah.
I felt that's sometimes a thin needle to thread, but it's like, all right, well, I'm more than paid for my week. We had a shot. And I mean, I'm joking. There's obviously some really good golf here, including his T5 at this very event last season. Pieced together some other finishes. I think he played well. Did he play well to the Rocket or the 3? Did he collapse at the Rocket? Wasn't he in the mix? Yeah, he kind of punted on the 4th round. So I felt like he was in the mix a little bit.
Sometimes you just got to punt.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So, yeah, I thought you'd have that one on the card.
One more. I have one more. It's a guy I've bet already this year. It's shorter than any of the prices previously mentioned. He is my short shot, I guess, even though it's not that short. It's in the 30s.
Okay.
What you guess on this one?
I'm going to guess it. It's in the 30s. You bet him before.
Actually, tell you what. I did bet him at 40, and it is still available.
Oh, you bet Ryo Hesasune.
There we go. Easy guess.
Yeah.
I couldn't avoid him. He is my shortest price in the card this season. I mean, another one where he just modeled out so well because of the strong iron, solid short game. There was people that were betting him early in the week. I think his DraftKings number was over 50. So, it'd be nice if I could bet some of those early ones, but Poet Triv, one of his strongest putting surfaces, which is good because that's where he's going to let me down for the most part. He's good around the green, but strong ball striker, good approach game. Actually lost at the Valspar, which is strange for him. You see, the only other red number on there until you scroll down is like a minus 0.01. For the most part, he does not lose on approach. He's a good ball striker, good off the tee.
Yeah.
And good around the green.
Like it. Yeah. Don't hit it all. I think a pretty popular click I haven't seen. I don't think we have the golf tip checker aggregate yet, but I would imagine that Hisasune has a piece of the pie. So he'll be in the mix.
What else? What else you got? Unless you talk me into somebody, which sometimes do.
Yeah, I'm going to I'll keep going backwards. This is another one that shrunk. This is another one that was available DraftKings only for a significantly longer number. Again, part of it is like, especially down the board, I kind of want the each way placings. Not always just the top 3, but I kind of willing to pay a little bit more for the finish. This is a guy's very, very, very popular. I'm not sure if you've caught wind of the home course narrative here this week. TPC San Antonio, gentleman's from San Antonio. The Oaks course is his home track. He was a Baylor Bear, so a lot of Texas history, a lot of strokes gained windy history. He is the 2025 Korn Ferry Tour Player of the Year. Nice finish last week in Houston.
Kiefer? Bet Kiefer?
Johnny Kiefer. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like a good home course
I looked
narrative.
Looked at him, almost did it, numbered, got beat up. You were not the only person who got excited about Johnny Kiefer.
1,000,000%. Also will be, I'm sure, part of the pie at the most popular tipped. Led the field in the strokes gained tee to green last week. Fantastic. If you kind of look at it, I was breaking down the live leaderboard. Woodland, historically terrible putter, made 80% of his putts from 10 to 15 feet last week, which is just kind of win you a golf tournament. That's kind of how you win a golf tournament on cruise control. Kiefer, 36.4%. Could not make anything. Lag putting was excellent. Around the green game was good. Gained 2 full strokes on the field. You just like him trending here. I mean, he led the field by a lot tee to green. I mean, he was on, 0.25 strokes per round or so above Højgaard, who was next. So, he was really good last week, and now is heading home. He's in the field next week, but I think this is not a spot where like this guy's looking ahead. I think this is going to be a big family and friends situation. Can he meet the moment? But I like him quite a bit. I got 55, covering 6 places in the each way market on Kiefer. I know it's much shorter in some places now, but and I know there were much bigger numbers on Kiefer, which is crazy too. So like him quite a bit. Keep working down. I typically double tap these Georgia Bulldogs on course setups that are very similar like this. So Sepp Straka, who
another European win, because he's
fake European.
Europe, for sure.
We'll take it. But yeah, I mean, look, low ball flight, doesn't hit it far, finds the fairway, great from inside 150. Just can he make some putts? Played really well, had a legit chance to get in the mix there at the Players last time we saw him, and kind of kicked the can on the back 9, which sucked. But he's just been playing really good. Like this price. Kind of feels like one of the only guys that's towards the top-ish that feels maybe fairly priced. You can get 29 on DraftKings if you're looking to just outright only. So like that one. And then I'm not betting Russell Henley here. Just again, top of the field in distance from the edge of the fairway the last 50 rounds. Approach top 10 depending on, again, almost any sample size. Bogey avoidance, he's second. Windy, he's actually pretty good, and that's the low ball flight piece. Par 5 scoring, even though he doesn't hit it far. He's going to be top 20 in any time frame that you're grabbing. So it's just, I can't not have Russell Henley. So Henley, Straka, Kiefer, and Bill Mao are my 4 guys. So a little bit lighter card. A little bit lighter. Yeah.
Didn't get to much one and done or DFS, as I mentioned in one and done real quick. I'll have an article tomorrow, but kind of probably looking at a bunch of guys we didn't talk about that are near the top of the board. Like there is something to be said for using, a guy just outside of that top 15, 20 that you're not going to use at. Are you going to use Russell Henley at a big event? Are you saving him for, the US Open? Are you saving him for a signature event?
No.
You can use him here, maybe a little further down, like Mav McNeely. Are you saving him for somebody? There's probably some names that, like, Fleetwood, Ludwig, Hideki, Siwoo. Obviously can't use Collin anymore. Some of those maybe you're saving, but like there are some names in there. Even if you wanted to get a little more unique and go Mitchell, McCarthy, I don't hate any of that. And then I did have some, I got to go because we got to run, but I did have some DFS thoughts, and it's tough without really looking at ownership yet. If you have a lot of questions on that, obviously Ron loves to answer those in the Discord on Wednesdays, but I mean, it's a lot of the same guys, and it is probably looking at some of these names that really moved hard in the betting board and getting away off of them. Like Yellow Miraju is going to be probably overweight. A few of those other guys near the top are going to be overweight. You're going to have to pivot off and look for other guys near him. Or like, again, Bez, Jordan Smith, they're in the 7,000 range. Somebody that probably going to be popular, but I'd play him anyways. Norin, we didn't talk about him. Mm-hmm. He's a pretty good fit. He's got course history. He's a strong player in these kind of conditions. He's been inconsistent as hell, which is, again, fine for DFS. Throw him in there. Let's get weird. He's 8,700. I had Berger in my DFS notes. Don't use him.
I'm not going to get points.
Olsen, yeah, he's going to struggle to get points. Rio's 8,300. It's probably a play. It's kind of weird without, should I use this top player at 14,000? Like, you don't have that this week. So you get pretty squarely with your roster construction this week. And like I said, if you have anything, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up in the comments, hit us up in the Discord. Yeah, Denny McCarthy, as I mentioned, I don't mind him for one and done. He's another one too. Where what's his salary?
Ron bet him. I have a hard time getting there on it, but again, another makeup. If we just look at it, the putter does so much of it, right? And I know the course history here went completely nuclear in that final rounds a couple years ago, where he gained like 8 strokes or something like that. It's just crazy. But I just feel like it's another one that's been beaten down a little bit. But
yeah,
DFS, you can sell me on it. I like your betting card for DFS. Like, people are not going to be on Jordan Smith for DFS. People are not going to be on Seabez for DFS. I think those are definitely some interesting lower owned plays with some decent upside. Jordan Smith in particular.
Yeah. All right, let's call her a week. Let's win. I hated not winning last week after we won 2 in a row. I'm going to try hard. It'll be nice. Then, oh man, we'll have some extra stuff next week. Already working on some extra content, especially for members. We'll have some extra free stuff, some extra paid stuff. Ryan will have his exhaustive Masters guide with a section for every player in the field. That'll be out here soon. We'll have some other stuff for tiers contests. We'll have extra stuff for DFS and one and done. So looking forward to the big one next week, but it'll be nice to put a little change in the bank so I can bet 1 million props next week. And I'm going to bet 1 million props next week anyway. So we'll see you guys. Enjoy San Antonio, and we'll be back here next week for the Augusta Open. What's it called?
Heard of it.
The Masters. See ya.